Now, last week, we introduced you to Stanley Zhong, a graduate of Palo Alto's Gunn High School, the kid who founded his own document signing startup and was first recruited by Google when he was only 13. When they discovered his code, got rejected by nearly every school, including state schools like Cal Poly and UC Davis.
Some of them were certainly expected, Stanford, MIT, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, for some of them, like Cal Poly, some of the state schools, I really thought, I had a good chance. And it turns out, however good of a chance I had, I didn't get in.
Stanley's story went viral around the world, and now even Elon Musk has weighed in twice. Here's one tweet that says, what has actually happened is that you can no longer trust elite colleges and have to test people independently for engineering ability. Joining us live now to talk about all the reaction and a movement that he is now launching is Stanley's father, Nan Zhong. Hi, Nan. Nice to have you back on.
Thanks for having me.
So what do you think, I'll start here because everybody's wondering, what do you think Elon Musk is trying to say with that tweet?
Well, that's Elon being Elon. I cannot really say too much about it, but I think
but what do you think about it?
But I think it's a good thing that it's saying that a lot of people are saying this is something that doesn't quite make sense. Perhaps we should really take a deeper look. That's what I'm taking away from.
All right. Well, we've seen this huge response to Stanley's story. What are you seeing on your end?
Oh, yeah. So a couple things that's really went way beyond anything that I imagined initially. One thing was that I received a lot of emails from parents who shared their kids went through college admission process maybe a year ago, a couple of years ago, and got actually similar results than Stanley did. Of course, they were not as lucky as Stanley when Stanley actually got a job offer from Google, so he kind of bypassed this issue. But it is a real issue that a lot of kids are facing. In one of the online debate, I actually received a comment from someone saying, hey, he already got admission into UT Austin and what's to complain? Why bother with this argument with the UC system? My answer to that is, you know what, let's put aside the tuition difference. Just looking at the admission rate, if an excellent student, a student with a good record, can only get about 10% admission, that is not a great way to guarantee they can actually get a good education. And maybe someday, someone with a similar profile would get no admission. Guess what? I posed that as a hypothetical question. A parent emailed me. His kid had a 4.0 GPA and won major awards, and indeed, he got no admission. He ended up going to community college. So seeing that problem, seeing that kind of a situation again and again makes me even more convinced that Stanley's case is not isolated.
Okay, so if that is what you believe, what are you going to do about it now? Because I know you've gotten a groundswell of people reaching out to you. And I know when you were here, you both talked about liking to see more transparency in the admissions process. So what are you doing?
Absolutely. I think transparency is the key word that we're emphasizing again and again. And over the weekend, we organized a volunteer kickoff event. We set up a sign-up form. So far, already 96 people already volunteered to join the organization. And we laid out 9 different aspects of efforts that we want to pursue. And also yesterday afternoon, there was this organization called Alliance for Impact. They invited me onto their weekly webinar, and then 500 plus people showed up, and it was a very interesting discussion.
Yeah,
so we're just getting started.
That is some video that they shared from that Zoom meeting that you had in which you referred to 500 people being there. So what is it that you presented? I know you talked about some ideas you have for transparency. Can you share with our viewers maybe a couple of the ideas that you think may be feasible?
Yeah, so that's where I think a dialogue would be super helpful. First of all, I believe holistic review is a good approach, but it should not be construed as black box reviews. And that's what the problem we're having. I believe in the democracy, every power should have checks and balances, and we're not seeing enough of that for the admission process. On top of that, if you have heard of the Varsity Blues scandal a few years ago, it's already something that people are losing trust in the college admission process of. So I think it is, we're at the point where we need more transparency and more accountability into this process. In that regard, we're proposing some basic ideas. So just like any financial results of a public company needs to be audited for people to have confidence in it, to have reasonable guarantee of its integrity. I think we can also use a similar approach and have an independent third party that audit a subset, a random subset of students' application and their results. And therefore, the parents and the students can have some assurance that the process has integrity. And the second idea we're floating around is that a lot of people are speculating. Again, I emphasize the word speculating. We don't know for sure because it's a black box. People are speculating that Stanley got rejected by some of the state schools because he's quote unquote overqualified. So we'd like to find out if the college admission offices do have a practice of rejecting overqualified students, and what is the definition of overqualifying, and why do they do that?
I was just about to ask you, like, what is the definition, right? Who's to say? So you're saying you want to see some metrics, right, for what is qualified at this institution?
Yeah, if they're rejecting students because they're overqualified, as some people are speculating, that is a very interesting situation we should look into.
Like the fear that you won't enroll, therefore, if we accepted you, that brings down our yield, so that brings down our rankings.
Yield is the thing that came up. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I want to ask you, I know this has come up, Stanley's decisions obviously came before the Supreme Court ruling banning affirmative action in college admissions. The decision came about, of course, because the plaintiffs allege Harvard discriminated against Asian applicants. Do you think that was at play here, as some of the social comments suggest?
Well, there's a lot of speculation. As far as I'm concerned, the truth of the matter is that I don't know, because it's a black box. There's not enough data, not enough evidence for us to draw a conclusion one way or another. That's where, again, we're keeping for transparency.
Okay. So I take it then you also wouldn't be able to say if you think it would have made a difference whatsoever had that decision come down a few months earlier.
That we actually have a pretty good educated guess, because UC actually has not UC, the state of California in the 1990s actually passed law that bans the use of race in college admission process. And so as far as the California state schools are concerned, that's not a factor even before the Supreme Court ruling.
Okay. Look, we should mention that you work at Google as well, and some people think that's given Stanley an advantage. I don't want to take up too much time on that here because Stanley has addressed this himself, and so that he probably got a head start on coding, right, and has a better understanding of the corporate culture. But I want to know if you think elite companies such as Google and others should also change up their hiring practices.
Actually, Stanley asked the recruiter explicitly, do they care about college degrees? And the answer was no. It's a clear no, not maybe or if, it's just no. As long as you can pass the interview, solve the technical problems, that's all Google cares about, as far as I can tell. But again, I'm not speaking on behalf of Google.
Right, but that's not a lot of companies, right? And I wonder if more companies are being like a Google, or if they're setting the new bar, do you think there's going to be less emphasis on elite college admissions? Which does bring me back to the question of, does it still matter?
That's an interesting question. That's one of the other topics we discussed on Sunday, which is centered around the idea of how do we elevate students, all students, out of the zero-sum game of college admission. Because let's face it, college admission is a zero-sum game. There are only so many spots. Somebody's getting in and somebody's not getting in. So there are some ideas around that as well, including setting up some sort of incubator for really talented kids that they no longer need the technical training of the colleges, but they can use some help in another aspect of getting their own business going. So that is one way of thinking about how to go beyond the traditional path of college admission.
All right, so I wonder, what are your next steps? You said you had this meeting, you said you got some teams of volunteers, so what's next for you?
Yeah, so we're organizing ourselves into several sub-teams. One is focusing on collecting similar cases. Like we mentioned earlier, there are a lot of cases like that, and we'd like to collect as much data as possible. And the more data we have, the better sense we can get how prevalent this problem may be. And secondly, we want to reach out to the colleges. I think it's really important to have a dialogue. Some people keep asking me, are you going to pursue a lawsuit? I think that's premature, to be honest. And if you think about it, if we actually bring a lawsuit to the UC system, they're going to defend it, and they're going to use taxpayer dollars for it. I just don't think that's a good use of taxpayer money. And so I'd rather have a collaborative approach them, have a conversation, let them understand our perspective. I'd like to understand their perspective, understand their constraints, understand how we can actually find a common ground and find solutions. So that's the second approach, and second efforts we're taking.
All right, well, I know it's a long journey, and I know you're having conversations with people, so do keep us posted. Nan Zhong's Stanley Zhong's father, thank you so much.